I typed the exact same words into the exact same model twice and I changed nothing. The first time it said the sky is blue. The second time it said the sky is clear. Same prompt, same model, nothing touched between the runs, and two different answers came out. If the model already knows the answer, how does it give me a different one every time I ask? Here's the part that trips almost everyone up. The model's weights are frozen the moment training ends, so the model itself is completely fixed. Give it the same input and it computes the exact same thing every single time down to the last decimal. So the story question for today is simple to ask and surprising to answer. If the model is that predictable, where is the randomness actually coming from? By the end, you'll know exactly where it lives and you'll know the two dials that control it. Let's go back to what the model actually produces, because this is the whole key. Way back in the first episode, we said language model does one thing. It predicts the next word, but it doesn't predict one word. When I feed in the sky is, the model doesn't hand me a single answer, it hands me a score for every possible next word it knows. Blue gets a high score, clear gets a decent one, falling, and the limit gets smaller ones, and thousands of other words get tiny ones. Those scores get squeezed into clean probabilities, the same softmax step we met back in the attention episode. And the one thing you need to remember is that all of those probabilities add up to exactly 1. So think of it as the model spreading one whole unit of belief across every word it could say next. Blue might get the biggest share, clear a smaller share, and the rest split up what's left. That full spread of probabilities is called the distribution, and it is the real output of the model. Now here is the thing I want to nail down before we go any further. That distribution is the deterministic part. Same prompt, same weights, and the model draws the exact same set of bars every single time. The model never once picked a word. It just told us how likely each word is, and then its job was done. So if the model just draws the bars and stops, something else has to actually pick a word. And that something is a completely separate step that runs after the model is finished. That step is called decoding, and it's where our missing answer has been hiding this whole time. The model says how likely each word is, and decoding is what turns that spread of likelihoods into one word on the screen. Two different jobs done by two different things, and only one of them is fixed. The simplest way to decode is to just always grab the tallest bar. Feed in the sky is take the single most likely word and you will get blue every time, no surprises. That's perfectly valid, and it's completely predictable, which is exactly why it can feel flat and repetitive. So the more common way is to treat those bars like a weighted roll of the dice. A word with a tall bar is very likely to get picked. A word with a short bar is unlikely but still possible, and we let chance settle it. This is the moment the randomness enters, and notice where it is. It's not in the model, it's in the roll. The bars were identical both times I ran it, but the dice landed on blue once and clear the next. Picking a word by rolling the weighted dice is called sampling. And now we've found the answer to our whole question, but I don't want to just leave it there, because you can actually control that roll. The first dial you get is called temperature, and it does something you can watch. Before the dice ever roll, temperature reshapes the bars themselves. Turn the temperature down low, and the tall bars grow taller while the short ones shrink toward nothing. The distribution gets sharp and spiky. Almost all the probability piles onto the single best word. So low temperature means the dice are loaded hard toward the favorite, and you get safe, predictable, almost always the same answer. Now turn the temperature up high and the opposite happens. The bars flatten out. The gap between the likely word and the unlikely word closes, and suddenly the long shot has a real chance. So high temperature means a looser roll, more surprise, more variety, and yes, more nonsense when it goes too far. The model didn't change its mind about anything here. I just squashed or stretched the same bars before the dice touched them, and that alone changed how wild the answer gets. There's a second dial, and it fixes a different problem. Even after temperature, that distribution still has a huge tail of thousands of barely possible words. Each one is tiny on its own, but pile them all together and there is a real chance the dice land on something bizarre. So the second dial just refuses to consider the junk. It sorts the words from most likely to least, walks down the least adding up probability, and stops once it's gathered most of it. Everything past that cutoff is thrown out before the roll, so the dice can only land on words from the top slice. That's called top P, because you are keeping the top words that together cover most of the probability. There's a close cousin called top K that does the same favor a blunter way, by just keeping a fixed number of the top words and dropping the rest. Either way, the point is the same: trim the tail so a freak word can't sneak through while still leaving room for a few good choices. So temperature decides how bold the roll is, and top P decides which words are even in the running. So let's put it all together on our sentence. I run the sky is 3 times with sampling switched on, and I get the sky is blue, the sky is clear, the sky is the limit. 3 different answers, and the model was frozen solid the entire time. Every one of those words came from the same bars chosen by 3 different rolls of the same weighted dice. And here is the part that actually matters for how you use these things. Temperature and top P are not part of what the model learned. They aren't beliefs inside the model at all, they're knobs sitting on the outside that you set before you ask. Turn them down, and the same prompt gives you the same careful answer every time, which is what you want for facts and code. Turn them up and you get variety and surprise, which is what you want for brainstorming and stories. So let's answer the question we opened with. If the model is completely fixed, where does the different answer come from? It comes from the fact that the model never picks a word at all. It draws the same bars every time, and a separate step rolls the dice across them, shaped by a temperature and a cutoff that you chose, not the model. The mystery from the start was never the model being unsure of itself. It was just the dice, and now you know exactly where they are and how to load them. We've now walked every stage on its own, from a word becoming a token all the way to the dice that pick the next one. But we've never watched all of them run together, in order on a single real prompt. Next time is the capstone, where we take one prompt and trace it slowly through the whole machine, end to end. Every piece you've collected across this course, finally in one picture.